Hi, I'm Lilia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of New Day, New Beginnings. Now, today, title The Book. All right, so you're going to ask me, okay, what book and what am I going to get out of it? Well, what you're going to get is a brand new walk, a brand new talk, a brand new look from an age old book. Okay, so the book I'm speaking about gives us all the knowledge and the wisdom and all the direction, everything we need to live a purposeful and productive life according to God's plan and His will. And of course, the book I'm talking about is, yes, you guess, the Bible. Now, first of all, the first thing we do is we often make mistakes. I mean, we think we got everything under control and we can handle everything, and we can take care of our own situations. We don't need any help. But you know what? That's until we realize we can't. So, in the following chapters and verses, what you're going to learn is how to walk upright, how to talk words of kindness, and have a look of confidence, and to walk upright with integrity. Now, let's look at Psalm 15, and we're only going to do verse 1 and 2, and a lot is said in those two verses. And it says, Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. All right. Well, first of all, to walk upright, that simply means with regard to what you believe, what you know, and your own principles. That's what it's based on. To walk upright with integrity. And integrity is you, your type of character. How do you present yourself? What do people think of you? How do you treat them? How do you talk to them? And staying not to be dissuaded by other people. Everybody's got their opinion, but so many times people try to make you see it their way and agree with them. Well, that's not so because you already know your principles. They're all right here. So you've got to stay steadfast in what you believe. And truth, what is truth? Truth is sincere in actions and character. It's what you do, what you say, how you treat people. Are you patient? Are you kind? All that you base your things on what you read here, not on gossip or he said, she said. This is all we need. If we read a few verses a day, look how much more knowledge and wisdom we would have. And the point of all this is to learn how to think like God so we can act like Him. Now let's look at Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs 15, verse 21. Now look what that says. It says, folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom. All right, well, in this context, folly means a lack of good sense. Well, we see a lot of that because we see people do things, say things. I wonder why they did that. What made them do that? What are they thinking? Lack of good sense. That's what folly is. And for them, that's fun. That's their joy. So it says here, to him that is destitute of wisdom. And what does destitute mean? It means you're without, you're lacking. People are destitute on the street. They're destitute. They have no home. These people are destitute. They have no wisdom. They're deprived. And it says, That's joy to them. So whatever they're doing, the silliness and the things that they do that don't make sense to us, that's their idea of joy. But a man with understanding walketh uprightly. Okay, so a man with understanding, well, we already know understanding is to be thoroughly familiar with something. I understand that. You know how to do math and spell and stuff you learned in school gives you understanding of the words and the arithmetic and all that stuff. So that's understanding. So if you've got understanding, then it says, um, a man of understanding walketh uprightly. So you already know what's here. You already have a clear understanding. That automatically makes you walk uprightly. You believe in your convictions. You're not going to be dissuaded because you know what you know. Okay, now we're going to go to Psalm 25. And Psalm 25 is, let me get over here to Psalm 25. Where are you at? Psalm 25 is, okay, we're going to go to verse 21. And verse 21, here we go again, says, let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I will wait on thee. Let it preserve me. Integrity. There we go again with that word, integrity. And integrity means just what we said, being honest, incorruptible, because you don't want people trying to dissuade you and talk you into something else that you know isn't so. Integrity, it's anything, and people that don't have, I'll put it this way, people that don't have integrity, they're they're outside of the will of God automatically, because you've got to have integrity in order to stay in the will of God. Because what's it say? It's honesty, it's incorruptible, and you focus on your morals and beliefs, and that's all you focus on. And it says, let integrity and uprightness, which is the adherence to your principles, let that preserve me. And preserve means to keep me. Preserve means to protect me. So as long as you're following God's word, doing the commandments, there they are. If you could live within the commandments, you're halfway there, because the commandments basically are our guide to do what's right. Now, that was to walk upright with integrity. So now we're going to go to how to talk words of kindness. And that is in Isaiah 54:8. And that says, now this is a little different. This is God speaking about speaking to the Israelites. I'll put it that way. Because this says, in a little wrath, this is God speaking, in a little wrath, he said, I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer. All right. So that means even though we aggravate him, we don't listen, we do what we do to what we choose to do, then we come back whining about, Lord help me. And when we push him to his limit, that brings the wrath out in him. But look what he said, but it was only for a moment. How many times do you get mad at somebody and it lasts for days and weeks? sometimes even years. Sometimes people are mad at people for so long, they don't even remember what it was all about. But he says, only for a moment, but with everlasting kindness. Kindness is affection. Kindness is showing you favor. I will have mercy on you. Mercy is leniency. Mercy is compassion. Even though you did me wrong, I still feel the same way about you. Now, I want to go a little bit further with that because I want you to understand why he said that. Now, we're going to go to another chapter or verse and see exactly all this will go. So that was Isaiah 54. But now I want to go to Nehemiah. I want to go to Nehemiah chapter 9. Now, this and that kind of go together. Now, here in Nehemiah, this is referring to the Israelites ignoring God's commandments and disregarding all they like forgot all the wonderful things he did for them for 40 years while they were in the desert. They forgot when they were hungry, manna, he sent manna from heaven. They forgot when they were thirsty, he made water from the rock. They forgot how he brought them across the Red Sea. How you forget stuff like that? And year after year for 40 years, their clothes never wore out. Their clothes never wore out. And their feet never swelled up. How could you walk across a desert, across anywhere, for that long? They didn't have any camels to ride on. They had nothing but their feet. And never did their feet swell. And never did their clothes wear out. He gave them everything they needed all their lives, and they still disobeyed him. Now, look here, and this is what I want you to see here in Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 17. And this is about them refusing, or I'll say ignoring, what God had done for them. They refused to obey. They neither were they mindful of all the wonders that thou had done for them, but they hardened their necks, and that means they like whatever. They just turned their head and acted like it never happened. And in their rebellion, they appointed a captain to return to their bondage. Why would you want to go back to being a slave? That doesn't even sound feasible. But they're saying they're tired of walking and they're tired of this and they're tired of that. Well, if God hadn't opened up the Red Sea, you would have never escaped from the Egyptians. You'd be dead by now. They forgot all that. And they actually wanted somebody to guide them back to Egypt. They'd rather go back and be in bondage than to be free. But it says, but thou art a God ready to pardon, be gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness. And he forsook them not. And remember, we said, forsake, he said, I will never leave you or forsake you. And no matter what they did, he didn't. He didn't. And forsake means to turn your back on. To turn your back on him. He never turned away or turned his back on them all that time, even though they still disobeyed him. He showed them kindness all kinds of favor and affection. He was merciful, lenient, and considerate. He gave everything careful thought. But they it just went right over their head. But at any rate, the point I was making is no matter what we do, how terrible we are, which we are many times over, and he just forgives and forgives. But they never learned. But he still never gave up. That's one thing you can't ever forget about God. He's a gracious God. He's a good God. He's a loving God, and he's a forgiving God. He never will turn his back on any of us. Now I'm going to just read a couple of verses that I had written down because about honesty. And I got this from Romans 13 and chapter 13 and verse 13, because it says, let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting, drunkenness, strife, or envy. And we see that all the time, every day. We see strife, drunkenness, rioting, envy. We see this stuff every single day. But it tells us, don't walk in it. Just walk in honesty. The scammers, they're always taking advantage, telling you this and telling you that. Anything to get you to believe what they want you to believe. And then 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 7 says, now I pray to God that ye do no evil. Not that we should appear approved like we're so great, but that you should do that which is honest. That word honesty is real important. It's important all day, every day, because there's so many things out there in the world that temptations. Oh, that looks easy. Oh, we can do this. How do you think we have so many robberies and things? Because they think it's easy. All we got to do is this. All we got to do is that. And then in Philippians 41, it says, verse 8, it says, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, think on these. See, and they're just a few verses that talk nothing but honesty, not only with yourself, but with others. Okay, and now we're going to go to a brand new look. The look of confidence and surety and stability. Now, in Psalm 118, verse 8, it says, it's better to trust God than to put confidence in man. Better to trust the Lord. And what does trust mean? Trust is an assured reliance on, again, character, ability, and strength. Well, first of all, trust, that's what it is. But they said it's better to put that in the Lord than to put confidence in a man. What is confidence? What is that compared to trust? And confidence is a full conviction of what you believe, but it makes you feel certain of what you're saying or the person is saying to you, but that doesn't necessarily make it right, because God's character is flawless, first of all. Nobody is flawless. Not one person that walks this earth is flawless. Only God, his character is flawless. His character is very distinctive. That's what character is. It's you, a person having distinguishing characteristics and how you act, how you treat people. Nobody, no man can give us the promises that God gives us. Our reliance on him is guaranteed. You can't get a guarantee from a man. You can't get a promise any day of the week, and it might come and it might not. But when you get a promise from God, which he's made many promises to us, and he's not broken them, you may have by disobeying his word. But if you follow his word, all the promises he makes will come true, no matter what he says. If God says it, that's what it is. No man can make any such promise that God can make. Nobody can do that but God. And his ability, there's no question about God's ability. He knows all, he sees all, he can do all, he is all. He is all. No man can do that. No man knows everything. God knows what we're going to do before we even do it. And then there's his strength. He's the only one who can give us the strength we need when we need it. All we have to do is ask. You could ask a man, oh, can you help me? Can you do this? Can you do that? Well, either he'll say yes or no, but a lot of times they say yeah, and then they can't do it anyway. That's the difference between trusting God and trying to have confidence in another person. Look at all the stuff you get from trusting the Lord. No man can give you that. Putting confidence in him. Now, what's that going to get you? Well, the confidence we said was a conviction that he might have of certainty. Well, I'm sure about this. Well, how do you know? But, that's only still what he believes, things that he's sure of, but he can't make a promise or give you a guarantee about anything. He can only talk about what it is to him. He has no way to give you strength, no way to give you courage, no way to give you wisdom. You're getting here. We have the Bible. We can read God's word. We can read it as much as we want to, but he can only tell you what he thinks or what he thinks he knows. He sure can't give you any kind of wisdom. He could tell you what he knows, but God knows everything. He can't give you the strength. It's like sometimes all you have to do, like I said, is ask. Sometimes I wake up and it's like, oh, Lord, give me the strength to get going today. Sometimes you're so stressed. Sometimes you're so tired. Sometimes you just don't feel good, but you need encouragement. And I just find that if I just say, Lord, here I am again. I need you. I know I can't do it on my own. I gave that up a long time ago. And even now I backslide and I try to do things and what I think, well, I'll try this and this might work and so forth and so on. But you can't do it. You can't do anything worthwhile without God. He gives us everything we need when we need it and exactly how much we need. He gives us everything we need for our daily living. You've got to believe that. You've got to understand it. I know you've been disappointed many times by people promising this and promising, oh, I can do that. How many times have you had a friend say, oh, yeah, well, I know how to do that? And they come over there and they make a bigger mess than you already had. So a lot of times you've got to pray about stuff before you do it. You know, that's what you have to do. So just look at all you're losing when you have confidence in man. Everything I said you lose here, you've already gotten it with God. So, what would your choice be? What would your choice be? Now, let's go on about the look of confidence. Now, let me see. I wrote down a couple of things here. It says in Philippians chapter 3, verse 3, it says, For we which worship God in the spirit have no confidence in the flesh. So that's simply saying that means as long as you trust in God and worship him only in spirit, you'll have no need for confidence in man. That is the whole thing in a nutshell. Putting all your trust in the Lord. Because there isn't a living soul on this earth that can give you the guarantees we get from God. And how many times somebody gave you their word about something and you took them at their word? You took them at their word, but only to find out later that you've been deceived. And we see that on TV a lot. And I think about the scammers. They're fast talkers. They're always talking people out of money. Oh, if you send us this amount, we'll send you a check for this amount. What makes you think that anybody's going to give you thousands of dollars? Oh, just send us 300 and we'll send you a check for $2,500. But you know what? People only look at the part that they want to see, the part that says what they're going to get. Once they see that, their mind goes no further. Well, okay. Or they'll tell you just put the check into this account and we'll send you a check for $2,500. I used to see those at the bank. People would come in with these checks. I was like, well, this is this. And well, this isn't legitimate. Oh, well. And then I ask them and they say, I have to tell them, no, this check is no good. They'll send them a check, but it's no good. It's no good. But anyway, and I say all that to say, trusting in man can sometimes, and it can lead us sometimes down a very dark and dreary road. And that is no fun. That's why it's so important to pay attention to everything and pray about everything, even when sometimes things seem not that important. Because sometimes some of the decisions we make without thought and without even prayer can give us endless days or even years of heartache and distress. So read some of these verses over that we discussed today, meditate on them, but then apply them. Be mindful of who you're listening to and what they're saying. And then above all, ask yourself, how will it affect me? And until next week, let me give you my closing words. No matter what your circumstance, trusting God is always a win-win situation. And until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining me.